The fight over Virginia's so-called assault weapons ban just took a dramatic turn. Now, the law was supposed to take effect today, but now the federal government has stepped in with a lawsuit that could have major consequences far beyond Virginia. So what happened? Why is this Department of Justice suing a state over a gun law? Today, the U.S. Department of Justice announced it is suing the Commonwealth of Virginia and the Virginia State Police over the state's new assault weapons ban. Now, the law would prohibit Virginians from purchasing, selling, transferring, or manufacturing many firearms that the state now defines as assault firearms, including certain semi-automatic rifles, shotguns, and pistols. However, just before the law was scheduled to take effect on July 1st, today, at least 2 Virginia judges issued rulings that blocked enforcement of that ban, putting it on hold while legal challenges move forward. Now, the DOJ argues that Virginians' actions violate the Second Amendment rights of its citizens. Virginia lawmakers passed the assault weapons ban earlier this year, and Governor Abigail Spanberger signed it into law. Now, supporters argued that the legislation was necessary to improve public safety and reduce access to firearms commonly used in mass shootings. Now, opponents argued that the law targets firearms owned by millions of law-abiding Americans and violated protections guaranteed by the Second Amendment. Almost immediately after the bill became law, gun rights organizations and firearms owners filed lawsuits seeking injunctions to stop the enforcement, and those legal challenges were successful. For now, with the injunction in place, the ban has been temporarily blocked while the courts determine whether it is constitutional. And now the federal government has entered the fight. Now, many headlines focus on the fact that the ban was blocked, but the much bigger story is that the Department of Justice is actively suing Virginia over the law. This isn't simply private citizens challenging the law. This is the federal government arguing that Virginia is violating constitutional rights. The DOJ says Virginia's enforcement of the ban is depriving citizens of their constitutional right to buy and sell firearms protected by the Second Amendment. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche didn't mince words. He said the Constitution is not a suggestion and the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. Assistant Attorney General Armette Dillon also pointed out that this lawsuit wasn't unexpected. She said law-abiding Americans should not have to live under threat of criminal sanction for simply exercising their Second Amendment right to possess arms owned by millions of their fellow citizens. Dillon also stated that she had previously promised Abigail Spanberger that the Department of Justice would sue if she signed the legislation, and that promise has now become a reality. So why does this matter nationally? The outcome of this case could extend far beyond Virginia. Several states have enacted or are considering similar restrictions on semi-automatic firearms. If the Department of Justice successfully argues that Virginia's law violates the Constitution, it could influence challenges to comparable laws across the country. And this case also signals a significant shift in the federal government's approach to Second Amendment litigation. Now, rather than remaining on the sidelines, the DOJ is taking an active role in defending what it believes are constitutional protections for firearm owners. Now, whether you support the law or you oppose it, this lawsuit has the potential to become one of the most closely watched Second Amendment cases in the nation, next to the Supreme Court taking up AR-15 cases. So what's likely to happen next? For now, the assault weapons ban remains on hold because of the court-issued injunctions. The Department of Justice's lawsuit will now move through the federal court system while the existing legal challenges continue. Virginia officials are expected to defend the law, arguing that it is constitutional and necessary for public safety. Meanwhile, gun rights organizations will likely continue pursuing their own lawsuits alongside the DOJ's case. Now, this legal battle could take months or even years to fully resolve. In the meantime, firearms dealers and gun owners throughout Virginia will be watching every court filing very closely. Some dealers have already reported major increases in sales ahead of the original July 1st deadline. Others are concerned about what continued legal uncertainty could mean for their businesses. Robert Dawson, owner of Kitchen Table Guns in Prince William County, explained, "I know that there are several home-based FFLs that have decided to close up. Brick and mortar retailers as well, and not only due to the assault weapons ban, but due to the changes in liability for FFLs and other industry participants." The Department of Justice is also encouraging Virginians who believe that their Second Amendment rights are being infringed to file complaints with its Civil Rights Division. Now, my opinion is this lawsuit represents far more than a disagreement over one state law. It raises fundamental questions about where the limits of government authority end and where constitutional protections begin. Regardless of your position on gun policy, these issues deserve careful legal scrutiny because the court's decisions won't just affect Virginia, they could shape how the Second Amendment is interpreted across the United States for years to come. And that's why this case is worth following until the very end. And now I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Department of Justice is right to sue Virginia over the assault weapons ban, or do you think the state has the authority to enforce it? I want to know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If you enjoy staying up to date on breaking Second Amendment news without all the political spin, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and as always, I will see you in the next one.